Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows online at WCBE.org. I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto, and this is Cinema Classics.
Yep.
Coming to you live, coming to you recorded from John DeSando's domicile.
In Waterford Tower,
Yeah.
overlooking the city.
Downtown.
And that's appropriate.
Downtown Columbus,
Yeah.
man, where it's happening.
In fact, we're broadcasting from here.
That's right, let's just say we're broadcasting.
And wouldn't that be appropriate to have a show on broadcast news?
Broadcast news.
All right, for
Yeah.
over 10 years, you were one of the leading reporters at a TV station in town.
Mm-hmm.
And so after we had talked,
I don't like to think of myself as a reporter, but I was like
I know, how do you say that?
I would say I was an on-air personality.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so as that on-air personality, you can certainly give us an insight into broadcast news. As we were talking about with Jake Gyllenhaal and Nightcrawler,
Mm-hmm.
the film seems to be accurate about what happens in TV news. And
Well, I'll tell you the most accurate film to ever depict broadcast television is Anchorman.
ah, right. That's very
For
good.
years I thought that was a documentary.
That goofy
No,
Will
no,
Ferrell.
I'm kidding. That was a joke.
Well,
But you know, movies have spent quite a time. They dip back into that pool every so often, into the news biz. And some of my favorites, I think Anchorman, broadcast
now
news.
why tell me again why an Anchorman? I mean, he's playing.
Just because
He's a
it's-
very
Yeah,
very
it's because
ambitious
because it's
anchor
stupid.
guy. That's okay.
Because it really just deflates the self-seriousness that just runs rampant
It does.
in a newsroom.
Now, I think if we were to ask our audience,
Mm-hmm.
they'd all respond with network. Would that be correct?
Our audience?
Yeah.
I would hope
So that
I would hope that
Linda out there.
Yeah.
Well,
Linda, yeah, and I don't know who else. Let us know. Send up a signal flare.
don't you think though that most people, if you ask them about
I
broadcasting,
think if you were going to pin that on one movie, what is the best movie about news? It would be Network.
okay.
Because one, it's just dramatically interesting, it's satirical, it's still relevant. I mean, God, that movie was so prescient. It predicted all this, it predicted right now. It predicted this moment in time. In 1976, this sensationalist addiction, our just ridiculous kind of obsession with the lurid.
Well, and that's a great point because Howard Beale's "I can't take this anymore,"
Mhm.
which is the exclamation we all hear, one of the great lines in all of filmdom. The station picks up on his insanity
Yeah.
and works with it.
Right?
And it's exactly.
But I mean, in a way, it foresaw cable news networks and the personalities that would lead those tentpole shows, right? I mean, going all the way back to Morton Downey Jr.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, Howard Beale predicted Morton Downey. Well, and one might make the argument that he paved the way for Morton Downey Jr. and figures like Rush Limbaugh and Bill O'Reilly, and those are just on the right, you know.
So you're talking about the extremists.
Yeah, I'm talking about any
The
sort of
shouters.
cable news program, news with big neon quotation marks around it.
So if you
That-
look at Fox on one side and MSNBC on the
Yeah,
other
and
side,
then you just see
see
like
it drifts
the
toward-
blowhards. I mean, it allows for that, and the audience eats it up.
Well, one of my favorites in 1999 is The Insider. Now, this is a different.
Yeah, it's about 60 minutes.
Right, but still 60 Minutes would call itself news.
Yeah, right.
And so when you had Russell Crowe playing the whistleblower, I think you're getting really inside when you've got, who was it, Mike
Al
Wallace?
Pacino.
Al Pacino playing Mike Wallace, right?
Was Al Pacino playing Mike Wallace?
Or Lowell Burton.
Lowell Burton, that's it. Yeah.
But whatever, they're giving you a real insight, not sensationalist, I didn't think, but rather the difficulty that CBS was having in trying to work with this disclosure of the tobacco company.
Yeah.
I thought that was a better insight for me
Okay.
into the challenges, not that, of, what is it,
Up close and personal.
that's right,
Yeah.
or romantic, right?
Yeah, it is. Speaking of romantic, one of the best films about TV news is Broadcast News.
Oh, yeah.
With Holly Hunter and William
William
Hurt
Hurt.
and Albert Brooks. And
Right.
That movie is so brilliant and just a joy to watch. And it is romantic, but it also skewers exactly some of the same things that both Network and Nightcrawler, satirize. But it does it in a much more deft way.
So if you've got the handsome but shallow anchor on one side,
Mm-hmm.
that would be Hurt, and on the other side you have the really smart but not as glamorous anchor, right?
Yeah, it's and
So-
neurotic, slightly
Right.
neurotic.
So on one side would be you, on the other side would be Pete.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, which one is it?
I know,
I like to think I'm both handsome and neurotic. But yeah, no, that movie is really lovely. It's James Brooks, and it's got that great cameo by Nicholson in there.
Right. Well,
What else you got?
well, I think one you and I would agree is really aces would be Good Night and Good Luck.
Oh,
from
yeah,
2005.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole what was that?
Edward R.
Edward R. Murrow's
Right.
television program.
Yeah, right. And that Murrow seemed to me to represent the finest in news.
Right. And you know what's so great about that movie is hanging over the movie the whole time without any sort of direct kind of commentary on it is the fact that Clooney is lamenting the passing of that kind of journalism. Real journalism, a guy who's not necessarily the best looking guy in the room,
No, right.
but he's smart. He
Yes.
sits there in front of the camera and he examines issues at length, in depth. And really, again, I mean, that's why we listen. I don't mean to be a shill for NPR, but isn't that why one would listen to
Yes.
NPR? Because that's the only place, one of the few places, serious people can go to get information that's not lurid and sensationalized.
And he exuded, that is Murrow, exuded an honesty, picked up by Walter Cronkite,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe not exists today, do you think, or in a different way for TV news?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, John. I don't watch TV news.
Yeah, and that's true.
I wouldn't know where
That's
to get
right.
it
That's right.
or who to
Yeah.
look for.
Yeah, yeah, no, right, and I'm hard pressed, even though Brian,
Brian from NBC.
yeah,
What's that guy? Brian Williams.
right,
Brian Williams from NBC.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Scott
I mean,
Pelley and CBS.
the reason I even know about Brian Williams is because he does a comedy sketch now and again. Every once in a while, you see the guy turn up, and he seems to be a funny guy. And that says I trust him more in
Yes.
his ability to send himself up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't see that very, very frequently.
And as you were talking about, would it be network, where the one where she's a TV news director, and she is struggling again with that ratings thing the same way Renee Rousseau is, and
Are you talking about Faye Dunaway in
Correct.
Network?
in
Okay.
network, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of in those, 76 or whatever it is till now, you still have a depiction of the same type of person, the driven news director.
If the audience is going to reward the whole "if it bleeds, it leads" philosophy, then the news director will always be beholden to that audience.
Yeah, boy.
And then, therefore, the news director will always be beholden to the lowest common denominator. And as long as that's true, TV news will be worthless.
It reminds me that way back when I was a younger man, in 1969, I was very impressed with a film about TV news gathering and reminding me now of Jake Gyllenhaal's Nightcrawlers And this was Medium Cool. Do you remember that?
Medium Cool, yeah, that Robert Forster was.
Oh, excellent, yeah. And you
Yeah.
remember they're gathering footage, and I think there was a point at which he could either help the victims
Mhm.
or get that footage back to the station.
Oh, is that right?
in time. Right.
I don't remember. I've never seen the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I know of it. It's a legendary film.
Yeah. And kind of a docudrama
Mm-hmm.
about that business. And I'm reminded again about Nightcrawler
Mm-hmm.
and about the gathering of that footage to send back to the station, and how our protagonist, in this case played by Jake Gyllenhaal, has become so corrupt that he might even manufacture his own
Yeah.
accident,
Right.
or he might even participate in or contribute to a crime and
Right.
get out of there before the cops come,
Yeah.
and therefore the satire of it, but not too
Yeah.
far.
The satire is how far will this guy
Yes,
go to
yes.
get the lead story
Yeah.
in the news broadcast? And you know what's happening to some degree in Nightcrawler is kind of a fantasy for video journalists, because the guys I know, when I was watching this movie, I was thinking a lot about some of the people that I have worked with in the past, camera people. Adam, Rodney, and Justin, and Teresa, and
Characters all
Ben.
themselves.
yeah, and I was thinking about these people and how they would view this movie, and I think they would get a real kick out of it, because you have a guy who, you know, normally the videographer is, you know, just is the dog that gets kicked around,
Yeah.
you know. So the idea that a video journalist might be able to pull the strings in a newsroom and
Right.
manipulate ratings and have that kind of powerful control
Yeah.
is really entertaining.
So what do you think for the future? Is the internet changing all of this?
I don't know. We've been saying that for so long, but I guess not. I mean, I still see news broadcasts are on the air, and they're still generating ad revenue, so I'm assuming they'll stay on the air. But I won't be watching it.